Hey friends, before we dive into this episode, I wanted to let you know that I created a fall focus guide for you. If you were a part of my Summer Ready Success workshop that I did back in the spring, we talked through some things to help you to get focused, to make your plans, to schedule, to keep burnout at bay. And so I created a fall version of this guide. And so if you missed it, now is your opportunity to grab your fall edition of it. And so you can go to martinewilliams.com/fall guide. We'll put the link in the show notes for you. But inside, it has my Triple C Belief Breakthrough worksheet. I have a SMART Goals worksheet. I have a Power Hour worksheet. I have a fall schedule for you to use for calendar blocking. There's my Breakthrough Burnout worksheet, an opportunity to put your ideas around things you're going to do to grow. And then also my mantras that motivate. So it's everything you need for your focus for fall. So go to martinewilliams.com/fall guide and let's dive into this episode. The next 2 Thursday episodes, I'm going to be talking about some of the things that are in this guide. And so I just wanted to give you a companion to go along with that. So I hope you're ready. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Mompreneur Life Remixed podcast, where you will learn how to remix your mompreneur life so that you can win at work without losing yourself in the process. Hi, my name is Martine Williams, and I am your host and CEO, your Chief Encouragement Officer. And this podcast is your one-stop shop to creating a burnout-proof life and business and elevating your clarity, confidence, and courage. Friends, it's time to say goodbye to being the yes girl and hello to creating healthy boundaries, healthy mindsets, and healthy habits. Your next breakthrough starts here. This is the Mompreneur Life Remix podcast. Let's do this. Welcome back, mompreneurs. I am excited to continue our conversation around the 5 C's. But before we dive into, I think we're going to get through all 3. We went through the first 2. I want to remind you about the Remix Moments with Martine, which is a brand new episode style that I'm doing every single Monday. And it's a quick 15 minutes or less episode where you just get to hear from me. You get to hear what I'm working on, what I'm working through, some things maybe from my coaching clients. It's like you and I sitting down, having a cup of coffee and talking through life, talking through business, talking through faith, talking through fitness. So I hope you're enjoying those if you've been tuning in. If not, make sure you go back and check these out. And as always, I love when you share these episodes. I love when you leave a review. So if you haven't done that yet and you've been listening to the podcast since the very beginning, or maybe you've only listened to the last couple of weeks, I would love for you to go and leave me a review. That means the world to me. And that's it. So let's just dive in. So the last episode, we talked about the 5 C's and we talked about choosing your mindset and we talked about creating your plan. So today we're going to talk about consistently show up. That's the 3rd C that we're going to talk about. And so I want you to think about, as you look through this next season, how can you show up consistently for your business? Commitment begins where feelings end. And I like to bring that up because there are some days where you're just not going to feel like showing up, whether that's for your health goals, whether that's for your family, whether that's for yourself, for your business. Like there are just going to be some days where the feelings are not there. This is where commitment's going to kick in. This is where discipline's going to kick in. This is where you knowing the why behind what you're doing. This is you having the right mindset that I'm going to follow through. I'm going to see this through, regardless of how I'm feeling today. That's how you're going to show up consistently. So I want you to think about, let's talk about your business first. Like, do you have the sign on? If your mouth is closed, so is your business. This is something I used to say all the time to myself and to my team. So how can you consistently show up in person? How can you consistently show up on social? How can you serve your customers? If you have a team, whatever it is, how can you be consistently showing up? Where can you show up and put yourself in the place of most potential to meet new people? We talked about this already as one of your 3 strategies. Where can you show up and put yourself in the place of most potential to meet new people, to tell them what you do and to make offers to help them? Like if you took away all the other noise and all the other distractions and you're in a service-based business or you're in sales, the most important thing with sales is having a connection and having interaction with another person. So maybe for you, a way to consistently show up is to set a power hour for yourself so that you know you will at least spend that each day with the most important activities. You can break activities down in like 15-minute increments, or you could do 25 minutes. There's no right strategy here except for the one that you will consistently do. What is the thing that you can consistently show up for? And this is one of those things that I talk about on my webinars. I've talked about here on the podcast before, but when I work with my clients one-on-one and we go through their pro scan, this helps them tremendously to figure out what's the plan, what's the schedule, how can they consistently show up that's in alignment with how they naturally operate. This is where I see people getting discouraged. This is where I see people taking someone else's plan, someone else's routines, or, they see this guru doing this, or they see this peer doing that, and it just doesn't work for them. Classic example, one of my peers back in the day she loves spreadsheets and she loves checklists. And she shared one of hers with me, and I thought it was going to be the silver bullet. I'm like, this is it. This is what's going to help me to be consistent in this area. And we met back up for a meeting, a committee that we were on, and she saw the checklist just like in my binder, and there was nothing on it. And she was like, "You're not even using it." I'm like, I know. And I can't even remember the reason why I wasn't using it, but it just did not work for me. And so two things happen when we find ourselves in that position. We either stop showing up or we stop showing up and then we beat ourselves up about it because we're like, what's wrong with me? Why didn't this work for me? Well, because it wasn't the right plan for you. It wasn't the right strategy for you. And you can't set strategies that are personalized for you unless you know who you are, unless you know how you naturally operate. So I talk about the pro scan all the time, and I'm going to continue to talk about it because it is the most amazing thing I've seen in helping people create breakthroughs and transformation. So how can you consistently show up for your business? How can you consistently show up for your family? Letting them know, like, maybe this is the season where you're going to be gone more. This is a season where you're going to be on more phone calls. This is the season where you're going to be maybe going to more networking events, but also let them know when you have some quality time planned for them, especially if you have young kiddos at home. We don't want our kids, we don't want our spouses to be resenting our businesses because they see it as a distraction or they see it as a competition. So make sure that you have time planned out to consistently show up for your family as well. And then last but not least, how can you consistently show up for you? Your business, your marriage, your parenting are only as healthy as you are. I will continue to say that until my dying day because we cannot pour from an empty cup. And so many of us try, and we try really, really hard. And we're like that toothpaste tube with that, you're either one or two people when it comes to toothpaste. If you're the one who's, when you get pretty empty, then you just throw it out, or you're the one who's like me, who you just like squeeze it and press it out and flatten it out and roll it up. And I'm going to get the last little bit out of that toothpaste tube. That's what we try to do for ourselves. And what's been really interesting in working with my clients and helping them to understand their own capacity for energy and honoring those things is what I'm finding is we're not consistently allowing ourselves to get full. So you know how you're driving down the road or you get in your car and your gas tank maybe is like halfway full or a quarter tank. And in your mind, you're like, I'm too busy to stop to fill it all the way up. So I'm just going to top it off. Only have time to top it off. I'm going to pull in the gas station and top it off. That's what we're doing with our energy. We're just doing these like drive-by experiences with ourselves that just kind of tops off our energy, but it's not allowing us to fully get full. And so I want you to think about how can you consistently show up for yourself? Put on your own oxygen mask before you're applying it to others, which you get to decide how you recharge. You get to figure out and put on that curiosity energy and figure out what does refuel me. And probably don't take it the first answer you come up with. So for some of you, it might be reading, it might be taking a nap, it might be cooking, it might be gardening, it might be listening to a podcast, could be a dance party in the car. but prioritize your self-care just like you would prioritize an important business meeting or an important event for your kids. You are just as important as those things. All the other things depend on you showing up at your fullest capacity. And so I want you to protect your energy and protect your peace and consistently show up for yourself as much as possible. Think of it like your Apple device or your computer or whatever side of the road you are on the devices. Either way, they need updates. You can't, computers, you think about computers, how far they've come and the updates they've been given and how their operating systems, even if they're brand new, have to have an update every so often. You're the same way. So I want you to think about that, because if you don't give yourself the update or you don't give yourself the reset, then you're going to become glitchy too. You're not going to work as well as you used to. You're going to be slowing down your progress. So it's kind of I talked about this in a recent webinar, the story of a man coming along in the fort, walking through the woods, and he came across this man who was trying to saw down a tree, and he looked exhausted, and he was sawing. And he's like, oh my gosh, like, what are you doing? He said, I'm sawing down the tree. And he said, that looks really, really hard. And he said, it is. And he said, why don't you take a break from sawing and sharpen the saw? And he said, I don't have time to sharpen the saw because I'm too busy sawing. And that sounds ridiculous, right? When you hear that story, but that's what we do. I'm too busy. I had one client the other day that we were talking through her busyness, and she's like, I'm too busy to deal with my busyness. I'm too busy to work on that. And I'm too busy to get help with my busyness. And this sounds crazy when you hear other people say it, or maybe when you're hearing me say it, but we do the same thing. We're so busy going and doing and pouring out that we don't take time to pour back in. But knowing if we paused, if we sharpened the saw, we would get progress sooner, faster, more enjoyable, and not as much hustle. Okay, so the premise of consistently showing up is I want you to be where your feet are, because just like you can be doing this topping off of your energy and just going to the gas station and topping off the tank, you could also be doing these drive-by experiences with your presence. And I want you to think about, how can you be fully present? When you're working, you're fully present in your work. When you're with your family, you're consistently showing up and you're fully present with your family. And when you're with yourself, you're consistently showing up and you're fully present with yourself. Hey friend, can I give you permission today? Like, for real, your own permission slip. Permission to get clear, to cut out the noise. Mostly the noise that is going on around in your own mind, in your own head. It's just swirling. And you're asking yourself questions like, why am I stuck? Why am I frustrated? Why am I not making progress on my goals? I want to invite you to a free clarity call with me, where we're going to dive in and we're going to identify what are the 3 main issues that are keeping you stuck. Number 2, what are the mindsets around those issues that are actually keeping you from solving for those issues? It's not our skill sets, it's our mindsets that keep us stuck and hold us back. And then number 3, identifying what are your next steps. We all have a next step, and we have 100% responsibility for those next steps. Your only next step right now is to go to the show notes and book your free clarity call so that we can work through this. I'm believing in you, and I cannot wait to see you on our clarity call. Okay, the next one is celebrate your wins. This is important as you try to create success for yourself in the next quarter. It's important all the time, but it's a good one to remind you of, because what I find is so many of us don't do this. We don't realize how far we've come. All we see is how far we have to go. We don't realize that we're not where we used to be. We're not where we want to be, but we're not where we used to be. All we focus on is that we're still not where we want to be. And if you're not taking the time to celebrate your wins, big or small, it doesn't create a sense of progress. You're not able to see your progress. And life is too short not to celebrate every single moment that you can. And so I want you to also reframe what a win looks like for you. And what does it look like for you? A win for you might be different than a win for me. For one of my recent clients, we talked about, like, the win for you right now is not getting the income. It's not even getting the new customers. A win for you is actually being excited to come to your desk. It's actually feeling adequate in your abilities. It's actually having the confidence It's actually taking one step in that direction. All the other results are going to come. But we have to be able to celebrate and get to that place so that you can see progress, because progress creates progress. So be sure to pause, look back, and say, wow, like I did that, before you're looking too far ahead to the next goal. I'm not saying don't be ambitious. I'm saying don't forget to celebrate along the way. And maybe celebrate with family. Maybe celebrate if you have a coach. Maybe celebrate if you have a friend, a BFF, or celebrate with yourself. You don't need anyone else to celebrate with. You can look in the mirror and look to yourself and just say, wow, I did that. I was here and now I'm here. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not where I used to be. So that's a short one, but not any less powerful. How can you reframe your wins? How can you celebrate your wins? How can you see failing as a win? Because moving and failing is way more joyful and way more impactful than sitting stuck. That's a win. But if you don't have the mindset or the belief that failing is a win, then you're never going to try, because you're going to try to make it perfect and you're going to live in the land of indecision. So reframe how you see wins. Okay. And the last one is connect. So finding success, I want you to stay connected. Stay connected to your family, your accountability partners, your mentors. Stay connected to those who encourage you, who empower you, who uplift you, who want to see you succeed. Not the ones who are naysayers or the ones who are saying you'll never achieve that. Like, stay connected to those who empower, uplift, and encourage you. And you can always find that here on the podcast. So if you have no one, you have me. Come back to the podcast every single week. And now you have 2 chances to be encouraged. Stay connected to your customers, your clients, people that you're servicing. Be willing to do something new to create new connections. Connect, not just sell, not just post and pray, not just check something off of your box or off of your list. Like, connect to not just sell, and create a relationship with them so that your know, like, and trust keeps building with them. If you just go into social or go into your emails and you write an email just for simply connecting, it'll feel different for you and it'll be received differently from them. How can you stay connected? How can you stay connected to you and who you truly are? We are all created with unique gifts and strengths. And the work I do with the women that I coach is to help them to eliminate their strengths of their personality so they can eliminate comparison. Comparison is a thief of joy. So that they can eliminate frustration. Frustration comes from misplaced expectations. You have certain expectations of how you should behave or the goals you should be achieving, the results you should be getting. And maybe it's because you're not in alignment with your strengths. Maybe you're lacking that confidence. You're out of alignment. And that is what is causing the frustration. You haven't gotten really clear on what is priority. You haven't gotten really clear with what's on your plan. But I want you to stay connected to your purpose, to your why, to the things that make you uniquely you. Because if not, that's where the comparison, the frustration, and the stress comes, which leads to that burnout. And I believe there are so many of you that are walking around in a state of burnout and you don't even realize it because it's become normal for you. And there is a better way. Creating a business around who you are, using the talents that God gave you to build it, is the ultimate key to cultivating joy and success. So you may not need a new strategy. You may just need to get more in alignment with who you are, how you operate, what makes you tick, what are the things that come natural to you. And again, I encourage you to go book a free clarity call with me so we can talk through some of this and make it personal for you and find out if Eliminate You coaching is a fit for you and where you want to go. But I know 100% that this one piece of knowing your strengths could completely change your life, could completely change your business moving forward. So go book your free clarity call. You go to the show notes and the link is in there for you. Okay, so choose your mindset, create your plan, consistently show up, celebrate your wins, and connect. And here's what I want you to think about. I want you to take action. So now that you've heard all 5, out of the 5, which one do you need to spend time focusing on this week? Is it mindset? Is it your plan? Is it you just need to figure out how to consistently show up for yourself, for your family, and for your business again? Do you need to just journal out the wins and do a reframe on how you see a win? Or maybe it's the connection. Maybe you're just disconnected. You're disconnected from yourself. You're disconnected from your family and friends. Maybe you're disconnected from your customers. Maybe you took the summer off. And that's why I did the Reset, Refocus, Re-Energize workshop last week. Maybe you're just disconnected from all of it because you took the summer off. And that's okay. We can't do anything about that now. We can move forward and we can get reconnected. So take one action to get started this week on one of those things. Don't try to do them all. What's the one that if you focus on it would move the needle in your business, would move the needle in how you feel, would move the needle in your confidence, would move the needle in just taking action? I'd love for you to come and share with me. You can either send me an email or I'm on social in my DMs. I'm not producing content over there, but I am still there. So you can come over there at Martine31 Williams and let me know what's the one thing you're going to be focusing on. And if you want help with all of this, if you're like, I get this, I understand this, but I'm still not doing it. Because you've heard me say this before too. It's not a knowledge problem. Most of us, I would say 90%, 99% of us, it's not a knowledge problem. It's an implementation problem. And the reason we don't implement is because we either are trying to make it perfect. We are afraid. We have fear of the unknown, what's going to happen. We have lack of confidence. We maybe think we have more time or that it's going to be hard or it's going to be difficult. And those things could be true, but you don't know until you go. You don't know until you go. And so I'm your go girl. And that's why it's important to have someone in your corner that could see your blind spots and who can help you move forward. So if that's what you need, and you know that's what you need, again, I'm going to encourage you, go book the clarity call. It's 1 hour. It's totally free. It's complimentary. You and I together, 1 hour, talking through some of these things, getting really clear on, okay, this is where I'm at. This is where I want to go. Here's my limiting beliefs. And here is the plan that is personalized for me and what I'm going to do and what I'm going to focus on versus going on Google and Googling how to get unstuck and taking someone else's generic plan. That won't work. Or if it does, it'll work very, very short term. So you are an amazing woman, gifted by God to do great things. Now go do them. And I love you. And I'm believing in you always. Well, that's a wrap, friends. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. I really hope it met you right where you are and gave you some encouragement for your day. Could you do me the biggest favor and leave me a rating and review? Seriously, it's the best way for you to support the show. And while you're there, be sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode. Thanks again. And until next time, I am believing in you always.